Congressman John Fleming to weigh in. Congressman, thank you for being here. You were a freshman congressman and spent your career as a family physician. Being new to Congress, how would you rate our preparedness as a nation for a flu outbreak like this?
Well, Dagan, I actually think that our preparedness is really better than it was 10 years ago. During the Bush administration, after the SARS epidemic and the issues having to do with terrorism, we stockpiled more than 50 million doses of antivirals. $6 billion was put into preparedness for a swine flu or swine flu-like epidemic. So I think we're extremely well prepared at this time.
But what more needs to be done? Again, the president asking for $1.5 billion in additional funding just now.
Well, I think that it wouldn't hurt to go ahead and build our stockpiles further. It's my understanding it's going to take about $1 billion to come up with a swine flu vaccine, which won't help us in the immediate future. It may take as much as 6 months or even longer to get into production. And we're not really sure whether this outbreak is going to turn into an epidemic or a pandemic. You may recall in 1976, and I was practicing medicine then as well, that we had a swine flu scare, and it turned out that it never turned into a pandemic, and in fact we came up with a vaccine that harmed people.
Right. Again, so how do you worry? Do you think that we are overreacting here as a nation, or as a world even?
Yes, Dagan, I think it's too early to tell. I know that someone has suggested shutting down the borders with Mexico and perhaps other countries. I don't think that's called for. I think that this virus has already spread throughout the world in small pockets. I think the best thing we can do is take precautions, and that is, if there is an outbreak in your school or community, that you close schools down temporarily. You avoid groups gathering, particularly elderly and young people. You certainly wash your hands, use good sanitation techniques. Right. And we in government and certainly the CDC are going to be very prepared to deal with whatever comes along, but we just don't have enough knowledge yet about what's going to happen in the future to be able to make an immediate, complete plan.
Well, talk to me as a physician rather than a lawmaker, and tell me how you, like, seeing the symptoms and seeing who this virus has attacked and seeing, the first death here in the U.S. with this small child in Texas. Talk to me in terms of a physician. Is this unusual in terms of viruses that you've seen?
Well, it's unusual in that it's not during the flu season. We have seasonal flu, and it kills 36,000 Americans a year. Of course, we think very little about that because we're used to seeing that over and over again. And usually with any type of flu, it's the very young, it's the very elderly, those who are immunocompromised who are hurt. And so I think that from all indications, certainly Tamiflu and Relenza, is my understanding, could be very important in the treatment of this. So I would say if anyone out there has a fever, fatigue, shaking chills, they should consider seeing their physician, contacting their physician, and consider taking Relenza or some other antiviral.
Congressman, thank you for being here. Congressman John Fleming from the nation's capital. And for more on reaction to the economic impact of the swine flu and the latest number